Wait for that to kick up on YouTube. Pull up some things. Ooh. I thought about running down and getting some caffeine, and it's not gonna work. Going out to like 103 degrees is not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea. All right.
Oh my goodness.
So while we wait for some people to jump in here, one thing that I wanted to that I wanted to talk about that is currently going on and is still slated to go on for a few more years is the new quarters. So as you guys out there watching this know that for the longest time the Washington quarters were pretty much the same for a bunch of years before they got changed in 1999. 1999, we got David Carlisle in here. Hey, Dave. Dave's not here, man. Um, the state quarter program was a big hit and got a lot of people interested into coin collecting and especially quarters. Then that evolved from the all of the states and the territories to also include some special issues of the W quarters, which again kicked off a very specialty. Also, in some of those quarters, there were special S minted circulation coins, which if you guys don't have those as part of your collection, there you go. That's definitely something to go after because those the circulating S minted quarters were in low production. So in order to have a complete set, you also have to have the S business strike quarters. So roll that all the way forward until you have the new redesign in 2021 with the new obverse for the Washington quarter. And then so with 2022, you have the American Women's Quarters Program. So in 2022, there was Maya Angelou, Dr. Sally Ride, Wilma Mankiller, Nina Otero Warren, and Anna Mae Wong. And then for 2023, we've got Bessie Coleman, Edith Kanakaole, Eleanor Roosevelt. I probably butchered that name, by the way. Jovita Idar, and Maria Tallchief. Those are the ones that are for this year. Next year, for 2024, we've got Reverend Dr. Polly Murray, Patsy Mink, Dr. Mary Edwards Walker, Celia Cruz, and Zitala Say. Again, I probably butchered those names. An attempt was made. And there isn't anything official past the 2024. And looking at the actual bill, the legislation for these quarters, it's basically um, at the discretion of the I guess the Treasury Secretary um, to continue with the program through 2025 and 2026. So there's kind of a gap in there as far as what else that there could be. Um, so Blues, I think you were looking at a couple of the issues for the quarters, yeah.
Yeah, I looked at the issues with the 2023, um, the the background and the history of these women is just phenomenal, and it was an eye opener thinking that how much of an impact that they did back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, and then bring all that stuff forward to where we are now. And it's, I mean, it, it was an eye opener. I mean, I knew these great women were out there, but really didn't know a lot of the history of it. So it's been an interesting read so far.
Which one is like if you had to pick one for 2023, what's which one is your most I guess your most favorite right now? Like which one
Uh,
stands out the most to you?
I'm kind of leaning toward the the Betsy Coleman.
Okay.
She first um, Native American woman to get a pilot's license. She did not live that long, which is just extraordinary in itself. I mean, from 1892 to 1926, but she was the first woman to break the sound barrier.
Nice.
So, very interesting. Her roots go back to Oklahoma.
Oh, really?
Yes. So,
Is that close to you or other side of the state or
they go back to it's the Cherokee or the Choctaw grandparents, which is
okay.
all in my area right now.
So you kind of
So
have a personal connection by geography to the Bessie Coleman.
yes,
That's cool.
right. So it it was it was an interesting read knowing that going back, and it's like wow, she's her family and was here or lived here or came back here to the Oklahoma area, and I'm like, wow. I would not even think about that. I think it would be more into maybe an aviation state.
Yeah, like North Carolina.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if you want to go back to what the brothers,
Yep,
yeah,
the Wright brothers.
the Wright brothers. So, um, very interesting. She did attend college. Only lasted, I think, 1 year, and then she ran out of money. So college education was short lived for her. Some of the other names that she was known by was Queen Bess or Brave Bessie,
Yeah.
and she was hoping to start a flying school for the African American flyers.
Oh, nice.
But unfortunately, she died in a plane crash in 1926 before any of these dreams of hers were able to take effect. So,
That's unfortunate.
yeah, I mean, what, 26? And yeah, she lived 34 years.
Still a lot of time left.
A lot of time lost and a lot of new history that was lost because of it.
Yeah. So we've got John Argent in the chat tonight. Welcome. We are talking about the women's quarters and the quarters programs. So one thing that I wanted to point out is that the obverse that is used with Washington looking to the right, that design was was created by Laura Garden Fraser. And that design was actually an original design from 1932 that she had submitted for the Washington Quarter. But the secretary at the time actually selected the left-facing John Flanagan design for the Washington Quarter. So this design was in the running to be the new obverse design of the Washington Quarter back in 1932, which I think that's quite a tale of history when you have a design that was resurrected more than 68 years later, to then be put on a modern coin when the design was actually something that was done, you know, several several years earlier. The other cool thing about Laura Frazier, she had designed the reverse of the 1921 Alabama Centennial half dollar, the 1922 Grant Memorial half dollar and its subsequent gold dollar, the 1925 Fort Vancouver Centennial half dollar, and then she also worked with her husband, who happens to be James Earl Frazier, on the 1926 Oregon Trail Memorial half dollar. And for a lot of coin enthusiasts and coin collectors, the name James Earl Frazier sounds familiar because he was the designer of the Buffalo nickel. So that's how we know James Frazier.
Wasn't she an understudy before they were married?
Yes, yes, they were. So yeah, so it's like I just think it's really kind of cool how we have this what is now design modern coinage with this design that was actually created in the 30s, um, that it didn't get used, which I think is awesome. Because I for one enjoy all of the different styles of coins, that we are getting through all of these between the states and the women's quarter, the national parks, all of those, because for great lengths of time, our coinage has not changed. It's been the same obverse reverse for, you know, decades. Look at the Roosevelt dime. It's looked the same since 1920 something. The Washington Quarter remained the same from, I want to say, 1932 to basically 1998. Like it's been the same, and like it it becomes too plain when it stays the same for that long. So I personally enjoy seeing a lot of the different changes, because it kind of substitutes, art and artistic effort and artistic work back into coins, where coins have really been kind of bland, like, stepping forward from the likes of very artistic coins like the Morgan dollar, the Barber series, like those types of things. um those are the things that were very artistic in coins, and I feel like that we kind of got away from that. So this is kind of the effort to try to get some artistic works, artistic designs back on the coins. What do you think?
I get why they're doing it. Um, Me personally, I don't like the change. I am. I just kind of go with the flow. So I mean, if in in my personal opinion, I think if they're going to come out with like specialty quarters and stuff, maybe just do a special release of them. Maybe not. make them so much for the business strike. So I don't know. I'm just kind of up in the air with the whole change thing. Um, I don't like change too much. So, but that's just another rabbit hole that probably don't need to
So,
go down.
let me ask this: if you have, I'm just gonna pick a coin that I have on my desk, um, Jefferson nickel, right? Um, you would leave that exactly the same for as long as it existed.
Yeah, when they when they changed it and when they changed the obverse of of the nickel, I'm looking at it. I'm like it's the darn thing's staring at me.
Okay, that's fair, and I think that we should take into account that that is one of the very few and very newest designs that is not a straight left or straight right looking bust, and that was an effort to give it some a different dimension. But you're right, it does look like creepy. Uh, um, Creepy guy checking you out. Like
Yeah,
it does look a little weird. So the women's program currently is slated through 2024. It is up to the secretary to decide if it's going to go to 2025, 2026. The other thing that I thought that was really cool was that there is going to be a design um, for sorry, I'm trying to find it. Um, do, 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 do. Um, okay, here it is. So in 2026, so we have our women's quarter program is going to be 2024. 2025 is kind of questionable. It's up in the air right now. In 2026, so beginning into 2026, we are going to see a redesign for both the quarters and the dollars. And here's what they're being the redesigned for. So I want you guys, as you're listening to this, to think about 2026 in the sense of that we are going to see coinage that is only made for that year. And they are going to be circulating. So, circulating quarters and circulating dollars in reference to the United States semi quincentennial, so 250 years. So, there are going to be designs that should be emblematic um, of of that huge anniversary of the U.S. So it's going to be awesome because so you got 2026 has a full change, and then into um, 2027 the design changes back, and then with the exception of the quarter dollar and the half dollar, which will have a redesign. So we go from this reverse of the women's, and then a full a quarter and dollar full obverse and reverse redesign, and then those are going to go back 2027. It's going to be the quarter and half dollar. And this is where like I'm kind of curious on how it's going to roll out, because the quarter and the half dollar shall have designs on the reverse selected in accordance with this subsection, which are emblematic of sports played by American youth. So what my question is to you guys, and maybe you guys know, maybe you guys have already read through this and already found the answer, but especially with half dollars, do you guys think that these are going to be circulating half dollars, or are they going to be just special issue half dollars? So, Blues, what's your take on that?
I would like to see it as a special issue only. because when you really look at it, we don't even use the half dollars now.
Yeah.
The mint is spending all this money making this half-dollar coin, and no one really cares about them personally. I mean, yeah, people are going through them, they're getting them for their sets and everything like that, but to come out with a business strike on a coin that's not even used anymore, I mean, the stores don't even want them because their cash drawers are not set up for half dollars.
Right.
So I personally, I just think they're just going to be wasting a bunch of money producing business strike ones. But it would be cool if they came out with um, a special collector's set or some type of collector's edition that can be gotten and not gotten by the three major companies that buys every coin the U.S. Mint produces out.
So, in addition to the half dollar and the quarter dollar, there's also going to be sports medals, and and Olympic medals. So in with the sports, there's also going to be the Paralympics that are in there. Um, it looks like that the half dollar obverse will retain the Kennedy, but the back is going to be different. So, and that kind of to me, like as much as I would love to see circulating half dollars, which yes, I mean technically they are still a circulating like denomination, but they're really not that much. But technically they are. I think it would be really cool to have something like this come out and kind of maybe reinvigorate like circulating coinage, because this is going to be one of those things that is going to be it's going to be different because the Kennedy half dollar hasn't changed in many years, so this is going to be a significant change to the Kennedy half. And then like what kind of designs that they're going to have, and I think to your point, that I 100% support is if they put together a collector's set of these coins, especially like the sports, the Olympic sports, the Paralympic sports. I think those are ripe with collector set collectability.
Yeah, see, and they're going to come out with them, and they're going to come out with a silver edition, and I'm going to be all over Facebook going, look, I got a silver Olympic coinage for my participation. Uh, that was kind of stupid, but I mean, how many people are going to go and actually say, hey, I got an Olympic coin when you really look at it, the Olympics kind of the of the elite athletes. So
So
never. I'm
they
just
have they have another section in here that talks about silver bullion coins. So I would expect that they would come out as the Mint is doing right now with silver bullion coins, like the new Morgan and the new what's the other one? The new piece that are basically silver bullion coins. Um, I, I don't
now
know.
when they came out with those new Carson City ones, the re-release of the Carson City in what 2021, 2020.
Something like that.
I mean, that was a big hit.
That was, and I do enjoy seeing the Morgans in a newer capacity, but like it's not the same. Like, does anybody else get that same feeling that it's just it's not the same as like it's got the same artwork, but it's not the same coin.
Yeah,
But I think that it would be cool to come out to put together a set. I'm not sure how feasible this is, but maybe it is for those that have the cash to do so. Is to put together a set of where you have a new a new Morgan, a new piece, a new CC. Like you had like a set of those, and they would. Completely understand that they would be all bullion, right? Completely understand that. But it would be cool where you can see basically here is the modern versions of these coins that have significant steps or significant you know uh, significant steps in our history with coinage, because the peace dollar was a significant step. It didn't have a long history as far as mintage goes. The Morgan dollar went for a while and was a staple, and really a bedrock version of denomination for the U.S. for a really long time. So it'd be cool to see like what the new versions of that was. It would even be cool to see a set put together where you have like a PDNS and CC set of the denominations. That would
Um,
be
does
quite the set.
does like New Orleans, the O Mint mark, do they still have the original mint building like Carson City does?
Um, I want to say Orleans burned down.
Because you don't hear nothing of it, but well, I mean, we're talking about they brought back the Carson City dollar for that 1 year, and as a big hit. I mean, I think it'd be kind of cool if they got together and put a temporary printing area in New Orleans and printed out $0
Yeah.
instead
Uh,
of having them done at one of the major mints and being produced. That they truck these machines down there and they set up a little mobile mint and actually produce them in New Orleans.
so it's now a museum. It's a state museum. Um, but basically, it's shut down um, after 1909 as a working mint. Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Coin Dragon says that Paula got one of them CCs, and yeah, so Paula went down and they were having a um, some kind of party or something that they were doing small strikes of Morgans, like CC Morgans, basically, that are restrikes based off of the original dies, and that was done on press number one. That I think was the coolest part um, of that whole situation is that it was the original. Paula says the seeded half, but it was on the original press, like the original mint press that struck coins. That's the one that they used to do these restrikes with, and that's where I do enjoy the history of like the new modern versions based off of or using the original equipment. So, to what you're saying, Blues, that would be awesome if they did something like that at Orleans, to do something exactly like that. Excuse me, I don't know where that came from. But that yeah, that would be really cool. So
Yeah. Yeah. If they came out with a PDNS, CC, and O in
man,
a
that would be a wild set.
in a collector's edition, or individually or a collector's, I mean, I get it. It's going to be big money, and not everyone's going to be able to get them. But that would be kind of just cool.
That would be, yeah. Imagine like now would okay. So I'm curious now. I'm gonna pose this out there. Okay, so say you could get one from every single mint. So Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco. uh, Carson City and New Orleans, right? From the five big mints. We're not going to include Dahlonega or Calcutta or any of those other ones, right? Like just those five. If you could do one mint mark from each five, all five, which denomination would you use? And for you guys watching at home, put your comments into the chat. I want to hear from you guys too. If you could get one denomination that had five, the for one of each of the five mints, Coin Dragon, we're not counting Manila. That was the other one. But if you could have one denomination, which one would it be?
I think it'd be kind of interesting if they put it on a coin that's not really used a lot, like a $half,
Okay.
and kind of get some spark back into the $half coinage. I think it would really help with people starting to collect them and get interested in them again.
Okay.
Either $half or $1, but yeah, I wouldn't go. I don't think I'd go anything lower than that.
Okay. Coin Dragon says bust half for him. So if it was me, I would say dollar. Just because like my affinity, my connection to the Morgan dollar is there's just so much history behind it, and like so for me it would be Morgan.
Yeah.
So Paula, here's the caveat to this is that it does not have to be a coin that all of the mints struck. Like if you had your one design, your one denomination that you could have in a PDS OCC set, what would that be for you?
Now, is this coinage that is also valid in circulation, or like a collector's
So
thing?
this would be a collector's. So it would be like if I had to put parameters on it, I would think silver bullion, and it would be American coinage. So not the peso, Coin Dragon. I know where you're going, bro. Paula says the Morgan. So Paula is on the CJ side of the Morgan. It's something about the Morgan that I just man, I love it. I love the Morgan. Everything about it.
The Morgan dollar is a staple within our coinage.
Oh yeah, 100%. So
So
that's so yeah. So for anybody watching this video afterwards, like if you guys get to this point, uh, put your thoughts in the comment section below on what you guys would if you had one denomination, one design that you could have in say a silver bullion set where you had one from Philadelphia, one from Denver, one from the San Francisco Mint, one from the New Orleans Mint, and one from the Carson City Mint, one from all five. Which design would you have? Because that would be cool.
it'll be interesting to see what people's personal thoughts on that is,
Yeah.
because I mean, I'm sure someone might come out with do a collector's set on um, uh, the 2 cent coin.
Yeah. Or,
So I
or
mean,
the nickel or the trime.
the time, yeah.
The trime would be wild. It would be small too, but it would definitely be a cool set. But it's just like there's nothing that has the touch and the feel of having that big silver coin in your hands.
Yeah. Now, with that 250 year centennial,
Semi-quincentennial.
man, words are hard.
Words are hard, yes.
I mean, has there been any rumors or any discussion or thought that maybe they might come out with a like a $2.50 collector's coin or a $250 silver coin?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that just opened up a rabbit hole, didn't it?
Well, but that's the thing is that like that is a completely legitimate question and something that like so there have been quarter eagles before. Quarter eagles are generally struck in gold and they're $2.50. So I would if I was a betting man, which I'm not necessarily, but if I'm a betting man with US government, there would probably I would bet um that there are going to be gold pieces that have some kind of reference. I would not I would not steer away from the fact um, that there would be a quarter eagle that has some kind of new commemorative design or something potentially for that. Uh, that's a distinct possibility. And now you're just going to make me read through the legislation to find it.
Yeah, and I mean they it could be something that they're just keeping so hush hush right now, and then they might come out with some big mint release,
Well, but the thing is that
or
unless
they never even thought about it until they're watching this channel and go, oh,
I like that. I like that idea. I support that idea 100%.
yep.
Um, but
So
in terms of a, you heard it here first on CJ's Coins and Crafts, new mint design. Um, uh, the dude, where was I going? Oh, if it was a true mint issued, there would have to be legislation that would be done way ahead of time and it being passed and signed into law for it to exist. Um, Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it can't, or that it can't come out in versions um, of metals too. But a lot of the metals that have come out in relation to some of the commemoratives have been attached and designated in that commemorative legislation as far as metals involved. But that doesn't subtract the possibility that yes, they can still do it even without legislation. It may not be a specific mint issued, but maybe it's a third party mint like the Franklin mint or something that does something like that.
Yeah. Isn't doesn't Australia mint do some of the U.S. commemoratives?
No.
I thought one of the foreign mints, Australian. I want to say it was Australia. I thought they did stuff that the U.S. Mint didn't do for a collector's coin,
Oh,
not a
for
legal,
well, there's
not a legal tender coin, but
oh well there's
the, the
yeah, Coin Dragon Perth Mint is one of them. Yes. That does a lot of fancy and like fantasy stuff. What I was thinking of is the Franklin Mint, which is the kind of stuff that you see on Home Shopping Network and buy this overpriced stuff on TV show. Um, that kind of stuff, and they specialize in that very not used for tender and very overpriced collectible stuff.
Yeah, man, I'm kind of sad I brought it up now because then it's just all speculation, and then like, no, please don't do that, and be like, oh yeah, that's cool. Then other people are like, no, stop, it's too much, and so,
But I am really curious on what the U.S. Mint, as far as design and going, going back to some of the design aspect is, like just the steps through like the design. So, a kind of a walkthrough on how the design phase situation works with the American Quarters program is step one, they have to appoint liaisons to like the National Women's History Museum, the Smithsonian, and basically it's the those individuals to kind of bridge the gap between Mint and these third party associations. You have to develop the design pool, so you have to get some designs, and that comes from a lot of different artists. You have to get the formal concept, recommendation, approval. You've got the design production, the candidate design review. So this is an important step that comes along with a lot of our coinage, and especially a lot of the commemoratives. As a lot of you guys know, I am working on a U.S. commemoratives series where I talk about each of the different types of commemoratives that the U.S. has put out. So all designs and all right all designs and concepts have to be submitted to the Commission of Fine Arts, or CFA, to have that committee look through the designs and approve those designs. Then they can send those back to the submitters with changes or recommendations or comments based off of what they feel that it should be. And then, so the last step in this production process is basically the Mint will present the final designs for approval to the the Secretary, for final design selection. So that last set of pool could be anywhere from just a few designs to maybe up to 20, 10 to 20 designs. Um, so um, that is some of the things that we can see as far as the process goes, that is really prevalent in the U.S. commemoratives series, I guess is what you can call it, because those steps between the design selection and the artist selection and the designs being submitted to the Commission of Fine Arts comes with a lot of drama and a lot of controversy, because of the basically the designs that are submitted that the states want it a certain way, and the commission is not about that. And there has even been very poignant comments and feedback, I guess, to or from the designers at the Mint, saying that basically this design is hot garbage. And I think that's wild, that the Mint and the engravers at the Mint would push back on designs like that, because they want to make sure and stake the art into the coining design process. So really really wild stuff, and it's cool. Some of the things to think about as you guys are watching this video, and it has been put out before, is that the concept pool um, is something that in the past the mint has actually opened up to regular citizens to submit their designs. So I'm not going to say, nor do I know, that that's going to happen with any of these new designs, but I think that would be really cool if they did open it up for external designers and sculptors and artists to come up with designs that are reflective of what the people feel for this semi-quincentennial event. So I'm pretty I'm pretty stoked about that, and I'm kind of really looking forward uh, to to that, just because that would be a cool piece of history that if you you know, provided a design element to a coin that becomes, you know, an actual, you know, an actual coin that you could hold in your hands.
That
I think that would be really cool.
I do like that idea. They need to open it up more for the public, for, for the artists that are out there. Me not being one of them,
Me too.
but just the logistics. I mean, if you really think about it, if they put a, a news bulletin out there going, these are the criterias that you need to stay within, submit your design. How many, possibly hundreds of thousands of designs are they going to get that they got to rifle through in a short amount of time and pick the top 10 and then narrow that down to this is what we're using?
So they actually did that with the American Women's Quarters program. They did open it up. They had a website where you could submit your designs directly to the mint. So I'm personally hoping that they continue with that, to especially on something like the semi-quincentennial, to really embody, hey, like this is what the people feel that is representative of these emblematic elements. Like, um, I did a what did I do? I did a video a long time back, a few years ago, about the design of the scent. And part of that design was the reverse, which was the shield scent, right? And I went through the entire selection process for the design on the shield scent. And that process came down to, I believe it was 16 designs. It was various designs of basically of freedom, of a shield, of a flag, of all these different styles. So um, if you guys want to go look at that, check that out. But that's that is the part that I enjoy seeing is, you know, what is the history behind the designs and the different designs that have been selected, you know, as far as a smaller pool to what actually comes out. Because just like what happened with the Washington Quarter obverse, like that design was something that the Mint had been sitting on for over 65 years, that they brought back and then started using it. So could be one of those things that maybe there's a design that they actually hold on to and not use, or maybe they use on a commemorative or something else later down the road.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to even get a hint of information on if people submitted designs 30 years ago for the 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 history of the women
Mhm.
that's just sitting in a vault right now.
Well, I mean, they would be on a computer, but yes.
Yeah,
But yes.
just some random artist is sending in submissions.
Which
And
they do have a balance, right? They do have a balance between the Mint's in-house sculptors and in-house designers and designs that are presented by public when they open it up, and all of that still has to get funneled through the Commission of Fine Arts, to be kind of boiled down to basically its last few rounds of selection to be presented to the secretary to say, okay, like here's our top 10 or here's our top 6 of designs that represent this topic or this element, and that's where they choose from.
yeah, be be kind of interesting to be a fly on the wall in one of these committee rooms and listening to discuss the different aspects of these designs and on how they're weeding them out and how they're accepting certain ones and not this one because they don't care for this part of it.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, it would be really interesting to see like reports, or like recaps from the meetings, or like mid director reports, or anything like that to reflect like, hey, this is what's going on, as the process continues. Um, does the Mint need a blog where they are or reporting this, or maybe the Commission of Fine Arts needs a Twitter page where they are talking about the designs and talking about where they're at in the steps. I don't know. It's just me. Like I would be curious to know like where they're at, what they're looking at. Like, do I feel like it matches with my thought of what it should look like?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Seeing those reports, I mean, I doubt anything like that would become public record down the road. But it would be an interesting read.
Oh, I mean, like, so if you guys get books, this happens to be the authoritative reference on commemorative coins. In the back of this book, that Kevin Flynn put together, are like letters and communications, going back and forth, and some of them are coming from the Commission of Fine Arts. Some of them are coming from, people to the Mint director. Um, like it is, it's it's wild, some of the information that this stuff gives, and just like how much, like, in the last video that I put together, which was the main centennial, um like that's going to come out in a couple weeks, but there is some serious drama, and some very very sharp, I'll call it sharp wording, um, about, in the communication that went back to the people that were designing, or had the main officials that were designing the coin. So when that comes out, you guys are gonna have to listen to that, because that is like, it's, in my opinion, it is the um like the hot drama and everything that's going on. Like, that's what it was the hot drama revolving around this, about this coin.
Yeah. You don't hear too much the about this subject out publicly. I mean, you got us, you got the coin channels, and you got some of these bigger coin companies that have their take on the whole situation.
Right.
So I'd hate to be the person that had to go through all this stuff and just kind of decipher it, and then just just boxes and boxes of paperwork that's in some type of order.
You imagine what it's like to go through your email box and then and go through 138,000 submissions for a design, and then having to look through and say, okay, is this something that we would look at, yes or no, like round file that email. Like, how hard would that, how many people would you have to go through digital submissions like that? And how long would it take you? Would you have an entire team, like a 4 or 6 people that would have to go through all of the submissions over like a 2 or 3 week period just to get down to, okay, here's a pool of about 150 that we can basically look through.
I know I could speak for looking at Q&A emails. The 4 to 6 people going through 100 emails a week was a task.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine they're like, nope, we're not jumping down that hole.
Well, that, and like the other side of that is like that would be their entire job, right? Like they would their entire job would revolve around going through and sorting, and like they would have to train these people on what they're looking for. Like, how would what elements are you deciding? Okay, yes, this matches our filter, right, of what we're looking for, versus this is a design, but it's nowhere near what we're looking for. And when they open it up for the women's quarter, I want to say in 2020 or 2021, or maybe even earlier, I can't remember. I'm gonna have to go back and watch my own videos. When they open it up, like they gave you some elements, like, okay, like the coin has to have these regulatory elements on it, and then outside of that, it's kind of open up for discussion. It's kind of open up to artistic license. um so yeah, wild times.
Yeah, not just another hole.
Well, so we have through 2024 with an asterisk on it, right? That it could go to 2025. 26, there's going to be a redesign. um for a bunch of coins, and then 2027 is going to be all kinds of different sports. So what do you think should come after, specifically speaking about the quarter, right? So we have states, we have national parks, we have women, we have sports. So what would you think would come next after all of those?
I think they're running out of
Running
titles.
out of things.
Yeah, I think they're. I mean, what's really left is the question. I mean, it's what happened back in the early 1800s, 1900s, middle 1900s. I mean, did they come out with a series that does the history of the Great Depression?
So events could be. I thought that maybe, so on the same token, on the dollars, there was a presidentials, right, and then there was first women, or first ladies, sorry, which has also been something that has never been on a circulating coin. But what if it was, um, like, the same thing for women, but only men, or um, companies that contributed to the growth and independence of America?
Oh, that just opened a can of worms.
right?
I
Right?
mean, I mean, you got some companies that's been out, even like fast food chains that's been out for 80 years.
Yeah. So so in that same token, like, okay, like, now
We,
is
we
this
already came across a McDonald's coin, so I don't think we need another one of those Big Mac coin release things coming
well,
out.
but that's the thing is that, like, like, is that where you can't draw the line between a national issue of a coin and like the commercialized version connecting it? Like, maybe they have to do a variation of, like, specifically Henry Ford or the founders of McDonald's, or basing it on the people behind those companies that that help drive the building of America.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up the building of America, and I know the American steel industry was a big part of that. Um,
Railroads.
the the railroads. You can even go back to the original the Ponderosa when they were harvesting all the redwood trees for building of America and the railroads and those ties and
Yeah.
everything. So yeah, that's I would categorize all that into like event coins, but coming out with like what I mean, the they got the first ladies. I mean,
First ladies on the dollars.
I think that's kind of okay. That's kind of legit. But where do you draw the line? You go first men, first youth, um, if eventers. Do they do something on Thomas Edison?
Oh, so they did have a something similar to that. The what was it called? Um, it was on the dollar, and it was called the Innovation Series,
That's right.
I want to call it.
Yeah,
Yeah, American Innovators. I remembered something.
yeah. I think it might be. I mean, you can even go down all the way down the line on doing um, the 5 minutes.
Yeah, where you could have.
You got what?
Uh,
You got PD and S, the CC, the O, and West Point. 6 minutes.
what about the original D and Manila,
Okay, I'm drawing a blank on those.
Dalanega?
Okay, yeah. I mean,
Like that right there. If you did one mint, like one design, or maybe two or three designs for each year, like you could have another 6 years worth of coins there.
yeah. I mean, even if they just did what the 8 minutes, that'd be you get 2 years of quarters out of that.
Yeah,
Release four, release four a year.
yeah, or spread them out. I mean, you could do one or two a year,
You spread them out
and
like they
have.
did the West Point quarters, where
Well, so I mean that's a legitimate question. Also, like that is a very excellent question, because so say you took the mint, right, and we'll say Denver, right. So would you just have one design, and have it come out like the W, with a low mintage? Would you come out with multiple design that talk about maybe the different steps, or the different stages of the Denver Mint? Because then you could have two or three designs, four designs issued for a year. Because the other thing to think about is in the release for, the states and the national parks and the innovations, like they have all these, and they are issuing out like 4 to 5 per year,
Yeah.
right? So to keep that same schedule, you would have to come up with several different designs of each of those mints. So that would be kind of curious to see. Okay, so from on the quarter, say you would have like the different stages of maybe San Francisco, of the different times that it was minting. Like maybe you have one design that talks about that when it was minting silver, and when it was minting proofs, and when it was minting, I don't know, gold, or you have those different stages in the history of the mint.
You think this minting committee, is sitting around going, "We're running out of stuff to mint."
No, no, because the thing is that like they aren't necessarily deciding what the design is. Like they have sat down 5 to 10 years ago and say, "Hey guys, our 250th anniversary of the U.S. is coming up. We should do something for that. So let's look at it ahead of time, right? And let's
Mhm.
plan accordingly. Okay, so we need to enlist some of our friends in, the House of Representatives and the Senate, and congressmen, and all of them, to say, hey, we want to do this. Who will support this bill, or who wants to introduce this bill, into the House? So you have to get that, and then so you have to have that bill drafted up to include, hey, like this is the parameters around this denomination. Here's the parameters about not what the design is specifically. The key elements they will have in there as required by the Coinage Act of 1873, but it will say, we want to do this, we want to change, and this is what it's going to be reflective of. And then that's where the mint goes to, that's where they start the design process. So how they do it from there is like the question mark. Is that something they want to open up? Is that something they want to have in house? And then they have to have those steps taken forward to say, okay, we're going to open this up to the public, so there needs to be communication out to the public. We need a website or something that is, available for people to submit their designs that fit these elements. And then you have these, I'm guessing that there would have to be maybe kind of a once through, to identify kind of like what the core subject matter is going to be, and the things that fit into that core subject matter, um, then goes to the Commission of Fine Arts, and the Commission of Fine Arts are the people who take all of the basically filtered designs and apply, what they feel like is going to be reflective, and it has the right emblematic appeal, um, and then have the last, selection that goes to the secretary to approve.
I actually do think that they will come out with a redesign of the quarter reverses of the eagle. Eventually, when they get through all the first ladies and everything that's been talked about and planning and going across, that they will come out with a redesign of the eagle for the quarters. And I think that'd be kind of cool to have a redesign.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I don't like change, don't make the coins ugly and unattractive.
Don't make them plain.
Yeah, don't make don't make us collectors pick it up and go, why?
Why am I collecting this? Yeah.
So, man, we're kind of got on a little rant there about some of this stuff, but it's always good discussion, and it's fun to speculate on what they're thinking and how what might be coming up and what might not be coming up, or ideas, different design elements, that's going to be future coins down the road, even if there is future coinage down the road.
That also is being talked about. But I think especially for regular coinage, as far as circulation coinage, like there isn't going to be anything that's going to come out in the next 5-10 years. Like it would take a few decades to to undo the circulation setup that we have right now.
Yeah.
And that's after they lined everything up. So
Yep.
so your
Somewhere,
take on
somewhere
the
300 years down the line, there'll probably be no coinage.
well, I
Heck,
mean,
there might
maybe
not even be money.
maybe that's a distinct possibility. So your take on all of the design changes is that you want them to stay the same.
I like the the classic stuff.
Okay. Like modern classic or like classic, like and I'll make the distinguish like level for you. Modern as in Washington quarter modern, or like barber classic, like
Like Washington Quarter, with with when you got the eagle with the wings spread out, and
yeah.
I mean it's a classic design. Yes, does it need to be revamped? Yeah, I would say yes,
Okay.
but there there's just a lot coming out for us collectors, and we can't collect it all.
Maybe that's part of it, is to make people really go after it in order to put the collection together. Maybe
So
that's part of the process. I'm just saying.
I get what you're saying.
You're welcome.
Yes.
All right. So my final take on it is, I'm actively looking forward to all of these different designs. I'm really curious to see what the sports ones are going to look like. I'm really curious to see what the process is going to look like, for selection, of the designs. And I'm my most curious piece right now is what are, semi quincentennial or 250-year coins, what those are going to look like and what those are going to represent. Because like now is going to be, in the next 3 years is going to be a really solid time, for collectors, because there is going to be some very, very, dare I say, even key date, things that I think are going to come out in 2026. That's that's my call. Just because with the way that mintage is going on some of the things that we have, and especially with some of the collector stuff, I think this stuff is going to be hot, 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 and it's going to have very low mintages. That's
Yeah.
my thought. All right, so we're at, just over an hour, 15 minutes. I wanted to take a second to thank everybody for coming in and listening to us talk about Coin Talk tonight. Tonight we talked about the American Women's Quarter program, and also coin design and the future quarters, the future coin designs that are coming up in the next 3 or 4 years. So if you guys like this, please hit the like down below and hit the subscribe button so you guys can get notified when I upload new videos. I am live streaming on Monday nights, and I have videos that come out every Thursday. So thanks for coming in, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.